All right, buddy. Now we got the visiting side of the Iron Bowl taken care of. Now let's go to the home team. That is the Auburn Tigers. And joining me to break down the Auburn Tigers is Jacob Goins. You listen to him Monday through Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. on ESPN 106.7 right there in Auburn. Also, the voice of the Auburn High Tigers, who had a disappointing loss on Friday night. And
Yeah.
then to a 7A Region 2 foe. I'm just saying 7A Region 2 run 7A. We're just going to say
Yes.
that right now. We
Yes.
can agree on that. And of course, you can also listen to them also every day on Locked On Hoosiers. And they're building up to we're hoping a Big Ten matchup between undefeated Ohio State and undefeated Indiana. But Jacob, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, man, always a pleasure. It's a busy time. Yeah, you mentioned high school football, no longer a thing for us for Auburn High, but basketball season's in full swing. And yeah, covering the Iron Bowl this week. So it's a fun time right now.
Just because I know how close, the two cities are, all Auburn and Opelika. And really, if you don't live there, you kind of can almost forget you just jump from one to the other, just kind of like the layout. But how stinging is that for Auburn High to lose to Opelika? I mean, it's one thing to lose in the semifinals, but to lose to Opelika.
Yeah, I mean it hurt. There's no doubt, and to do it at home, right at Duck Sanford was also hurtful. I mean, the atmosphere was incredible. I mean, the crowd was great. The fans showed up, and the game itself was really really good. And what hurts is the fact that Auburn kind of did it to themselves, right? You throw a pick six on the second play of the game, you give up a kickoff return for a touchdown, and after all that, you lose by 3, right? And it's like, well, if one of those things doesn't happen, you win the game. Now, it's easy to say what if after the result, but it really is a couple of things you look back on. It's like, man, if we just didn't hurt ourselves, then you win that game and you're preparing for Thompson in the state championship game. And look, Opelika played better, plain and simple. I mean, they were the better team that night and they deserve to move on. And I don't like it. I don't like losing to Opelika at all, and especially in probably the biggest game the two have ever played against one another. But it is what it is. And Coach Etheridge, that's his first ever loss to Opelika, and Auburn was on a 9-game win streak against the Dogs. I mean, there was a lot on the line in that game, and Opelika showed up, played well, and they have a shot at a state title because of it.
I just see Opelika, and I'm like, if Dothan does not give up a 90-something yard touchdown pass to them, Dothan
the what
beats
if,
them.
right? The what if question. Yeah.
Dothan's in the playoffs this year. So that just shows, just kind of talking shop here, so how tough 7A Region 2 really is. It's really a 5-team. And I've always said, and it is the way it is. It's always been this way. I just wish there was a way in, especially in 7A and all the classification, really. You win your region, you're automatically in, but I wish we could just see the rest of them, just the best teams, because you kind of look around the state. No offense to any of the other regions, but you look at 7A Region 2 or some of the other regions, like you see teams not making the playoffs that you kind of feel like they're better than some of the teams that do. If you get what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, Dothan's a good team. They were a good football team this year, and I think that team would either win or get runner-up in the northern region. What is that, Region 4 up there in the Huntsville area? I mean, I think Dothan could win that region just based off of how Daphne and Baker and all those teams, or not Baker, but Daphne and Florence and some of those teams. Like, I don't think they're as talented as the teams you see in Region 2 and Region 3, the East Alabama and the Birmingham region. It's a fact, unfortunately. And, you look at either the southern region, which I was talking about with Daphne and Baker, or the northern region like a Austin or a Florence. It is what it is, man. They're just not as deep, I don't think, is one of the big things there. So it is what it is. But yeah, you've got Region 2 versus Region 3 in the state championship game with Thompson and Opelika going on in Birmingham.
Yeah, good luck with that one. Playing as a quarterback that feels like he has been there forever at Thompson, which he has.
He has. Yeah.
But anyways, back kind of getting to the Iron Bowl, and we talk about this off air. For Auburn to be 5-6, and I think really Alabama coming off that loss in Oklahoma. I know they took care of business against Eastern Illinois, but the last time we saw them play an SEC team, Oklahoma, they didn't look great at times, turning the ball over. Ty Simpson was getting pressure on them. And like I said, Auburn has played better. The near defeat of Vanderbilt there on the road, the first game after the Hugh Freeze firing, the way they look, I know it was Mercer, but they look great again offensively against Mercer. Deuce Knight was awesome. Of course, Ashton Daniels couldn't play. I feel like on the Auburn side of things, there's a lot of positivity and optimism going into this Iron Bowl than maybe there probably wasn't a few weeks ago when Hugh Freeze was still the head coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think if for whatever reason Hugh Freeze was still the coach, that means you probably won a game or two, the Kentucky game or whatever the case may be. But man, the feeling around the offense was so bad, right? It was so bad because the offense was bad. Just being honest. I mean, it was miserable to watch because it was just not working at all. And now, right, you've seen Auburn be one of those teams, like you've seen the dozens others around college football who have fired their head coach. They've rallied, right? They've rallied around DJ Durkin. They've rallied around each other. The offense is like a brand new system at that you saw against Vanderbilt. And then you got to see it a couple of more times. And even on this past Saturday with Deuce Knight running things, I think there is some optimism that Auburn can move the football against Alabama, who is a good defense, but not great, right? They give up a bunch of rushing yards, and then offensively, they can't run the ball. Okay. You see Ty Simpson, he's played great. He's in the Heisman candidacy, and he should be. He'll probably be sitting in New York. But they have some limitations, I think. And then with DJ Durkin's defense, as long as they show up and play like they're supposed to, then they'll keep you in any game you play. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of positivity. I think there's a lot of optimism. And we're recording this early in the week. I can only imagine what the feeling's going to be like Friday afternoon into Saturday morning. I mean, this town's going to be buzzing, man. This place is going to be crazy come game day, and with it being a night game at Jordan-Hare, first time in a long time. The Iron Bowl's been played at night, or it's been played at night at Jordan-Hare because the last night game in the Iron Bowl was in Tuscaloosa. So this place is going to go crazy, and it will feel like the Texas A&M environment where both teams are just in that game. Remember, both teams weren't good, didn't have a whole lot to play for. I believe that was when Caddy took over, and that atmosphere was one of the best ones we've ever seen. I think it could be similar to that this Saturday for the Iron Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like I was going to bring that up, being at Jordan-Hare Stadium and being at night. I've been in that stadium as a fan at night. It is electric in a big game atmosphere. You know, all the speculation of the haunted, the voodoo that goes on at Jordan-Hare Stadium. And you look at this game, the last two times Alabama has come to Jordan-Hare, Auburn should have won. You know, 21, Tank Bigsby does it round of bounds, Auburn runs out the clock. They don't have enough time to tie the game. And then, of course, we know what happened 2 years ago with the throw in the end zone. And I'll bring that up because when you look at those games, Alabama by far was the more talented team. Well, now when we look at this game, I mean, I don't think Auburn is that far behind talent with Alabama. It's more comparable now, and with that atmosphere, the confidence Auburn's offense has playing now, I think it just opens up a whole new thing. And let's look at on the other side of Alabama. Kalen DeBoer has not coached in this game at Jordan-Hare Stadium. He has not felt the pressure I think he's going to feel Saturday night against Auburn because, one, I think, two, he loses to Auburn. You know, he's already kind of, you know, the Oklahoma lost. They started jumping on him again. It'll really get tight on Kalen DeBoer if Auburn upsets him.
Right, and we know kind of what's going into this game, too. The fact that Alabama's playoff hopes are pretty much up for grabs here. And that will give Alabama extra motivation, sure, but it also gives Auburn extra motivation. And I want to say this, too. I've been talking about it on the radio, but I don't love the idea. This may be a hot take, and that's okay, but I don't love the idea that Auburn is in the spot yet again as a 5-6 football team, and the only motivation, the only thing we're playing for is to crush Alabama's playoff hopes, right? That's not how we want this game to be. We want this to be a play-in game for both teams to get to the college football playoff, or a play-in game to get to the SEC championship game like we've seen for so many years through Uremai's lifetime and even before that too. This game needs to get back to that, which means Auburn has to get back to that. But unfortunately, that's not where we are right now. So we can be excited about beating Alabama and knocking them out of the playoffs. But I want more than that. I want this to be Auburn won the Iron Bowl. They are in the college football playoff, or they secured a top 4 seed, or whatever the case may be. I just don't want it to be big brother, little brother type of thing where, well, Alabama's fighting for a playoff spot and Auburn's fighting for bowl eligibility. Like, I don't want that to be consistent and repetitive year after year. But in a vacuum in 2025, that's exactly what's up for grabs. And Auburn should have motivation to go in there and do that. But I expect Alabama to be prepared and ready to go too.
Yeah, I mean, I think really the best cases we had with that was 13 and 17, where Auburn was going to 17. They just beat Georgia. Then Alabama was number 1. They beat them. Of course, we know what happened in 13. 2010 a little bit. I mean, Alabama was out of the BCS hunt there, but they were a 9-win team. Auburn was undefeated. So at least you had a 9-win Alabama team. Even if it was like that for Auburn, okay, maybe you're not going into a playoff situation, but you've got 8 or 9 wins instead of 5 or 6. Like I said, trying to just get bowl eligible. Before we kind of jump more into game this past Saturday against Mercer, of course, the story coming out, Deuce Knight and the performance he put on, 6 total touchdowns, over 400 yards total offense. First play, 75 yards to the house, showing everybody what he's capable of doing. And again, it was Mercer, but still his first start. Because I remember against Ball State when he got in. The other time we seen him fumble the ball 2 or 3 times, just looked like he just was not ready to be playing at that level. Yeah. Completely different deal here. Just what was your big takeaways from Deuce Knight?
Well, I mean, I think you can just see the athleticism and the excitement that he can bring when he's playing at the quarterback spot, right? I know we didn't get to see a ton of his throwing ability, had a couple of really nice throws. And of course, he knows who Cam Coleman is. So that's good. At least just throw it to that guy and he'll make a play, whether it's 1 hand, 2 hands, or catch it with his feet at this point. I wouldn't be surprised. But overall, you see the threat that Deuce Knight is. You see what he can do when he's given the opportunity to do so. And yes, it was Mercer, like you said, but this was the right call to start him, play him, and let him get most of the reps. I know Jackson Arnold got in late, had the big touchdown run too, but this was the right decision, A, to not play Ashton Daniels, but B, to let Deuce Knight run wild, basically, and see what he can do. And you can't expect that in every game that he starts, but I think you gave him a little bit of a glimpse of what he could be if he stays at Auburn, and hopefully that's not a glimpse of what he does somewhere else next year. But I think he earned his right to be the number 2 this weekend in the Iron Bowl. I think that's safe to say that Ashton Daniels should still start this weekend, but Deuce Knight got his moments for Auburn, and I think he earned the backup spot this weekend.
Yeah, I wonder for the Iron Bowl, I wonder if now they're kind of looking at it, DJ Durkin and Derek Nix and all the coaches are going to get together and just think, okay, is there a package or something we can use against Alabama on Saturday to kind of get him? Of course, Ashton Daniels is the guy, but now kind of put that other element of Deuce Knight in the back of the mind of the Alabama coaching staff.
Yeah, maybe. I just feel like, though, that if you're going to bring in Ashton, or if you're going to bring in Deuce Knight, right, for a running package or something, I mean, Ashton Daniels could do that too, right? True. I mean, he's got the running ability, the running threat, if you will. So the only reason you would do that, I feel like, is if you're just trying to protect Ashton to not get hurt, right? But maybe you do. Heck, maybe you bring both of them in. I don't know. I think there could be some scenarios there, but I think it's probably Ashton Daniels and his game, unless it just goes really wrong or, God forbid, he gets hurt or something like that. Could there be some packages for Deuce Knight? Yes. But I think this is Ashton Daniels' game on Saturday.
Now, if Gus Malzahn was still the coach, definitely would see both of them out there at the
you'd see all 3 of them. You'd see Jackson Arnold in there too, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I know at the beginning of the year when Hugh Freeze talked about the 3 quarterbacks playing against Baylor, I'm like, did Gus come back? That was the first thing
That's a disaster.
when I saw it earlier on the year. So looking at, and you mentioned it earlier, looking at Alabama, Ty Simpson's been great, but I do feel like with him, when he's getting pressure on him, he doesn't know how to respond to it. And I don't think Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb has done a great job for Alabama at kind of figuring out a way, okay, how do we, work off of that? How do we fix that? I don't think they've done a good job at reacting to teams getting pressure on him. And you got to feel like Auburn defensively is just going to say, hey, we are going to shut down the run game and we're going to make Ty Simpson beat you.
Yeah, and I think you got to get after him. Absolutely. You got to get after the quarterback, and Auburn has done a pretty good job of that this year and contain him because he doesn't love to run, but he can, right? He's got the ability to do so. And I'm fascinated to see what Auburn decides to do this weekend with the bend, don't break mentality, because there were some breakdowns against Mercer, some concerning breakdowns against Mercer. And look, let's just call it like it is. I know you only gave up 17 points against Mercer on Saturday, but since DJ Durkin took over as the interim head coach, the defense hasn't looked as solid. It has not looked as good. And that was inevitable, right? I'm not pointing the finger and fully blaming DJ Durkin. That was inevitable when he took more responsibility and had to step away and kind of be down the middle rather than just put all of his time and effort into the defense. But he needs to step back to the defensive side of the football this week and make sure everything is tight, it's clean, and it's good to go, because you have to play a good defensive game against Alabama to beat them. Teams like Oklahoma have put that on display. Florida State, wildly enough, did it in the opener. There is film on how to beat Alabama defensively. Auburn just has to find a way to do that, avoid the big plays, get after the quarterback, and don't let them find any sort of running game. Again, they're not a great running team to begin with, but they're going to try to do so on the road to open it up for Ty Simpson. If Auburn can do that on defense, they'll be in the game. Then it all comes down, can the offense score?
Yeah, 100%. LSU gave them problems. I mean, they just beat LSU like was it 17-9. I mean, LSU's defense played well against them too, so they had issues there as well as LSU absolutely had no offense to put up points. And that kind of has me wondering too on the Auburn side, the secondary. That's going to be big. Holding Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, Horton as well. I mean, they've got some really good receivers at Alabama. So I feel like if they're going to put all their attention on just making Ty Simpson beat them, make Alabama one-dimensional, the secondary, it's going to come down to them and how they hold up against those receivers.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, that comes back to, do you give up yards but not touchdowns, which just seems to be Auburn's MO under DJ Durkin, is we'll let you move the ball through the 30s all you want to, but then we buckle down when you get close. That's fine. You just, again, you can't give up the big play because Alabama could beat you with that. And they clearly have done it before, and they're willing to do it again. So keep everything in front of you, play between the 30s. And if you can hold them to field goal attempts, I like Auburn's chances. And the closer this thing is, the later we get into the game. We know how that rolls, man. We know how it goes. Auburn will have chances to win this game. It's just whether they take advantage of it or not. I think it really does come down to that.
Yeah, and it's really been the story of the year for them because they've been every game's close. I mean, Georgia is the only double-digit loss. I mean, on their resume. I mean, that 10-point loss against Georgia. And I look at Alabama. Defensively on paper they look great. The numbers. I mean, they're number 2 in the SEC in points allowed, number 1 in yards allowed, number 1 against a pass, but they're number 9 against the run. And you mentioned earlier they do give up some running yards. So you kind of got to feel like if you're looking at that, it's a Jeremiah Cobb day. We didn't see a lot of him on Saturday, which I think is the right move. And he's been great this year for them. Mapson's got to get in there a little bit and help out with that as well. But getting Cobb going, and then if you get him going, man, you could set it up with Coleman, Simmons, Singleton, and all that for Daniels.
Yeah, I mean, if you're ripping off 4, 5, 6 yards a run, keep it going. Do it. Run Ashton a little bit if you need to, but don't be afraid to turn around and hand the football off. Run some play action. Get Malcolm Simmons back involved in the running game. I mean, if you're gashing them on the ground, I trust Derek Nix to continue to do that. He's proven he will, and I think that he will. Again, this is not the Hugh Freeze offense where he sees one deep ball be successful and then tries to do it 5 more times in a row. I trust Auburn to run the football early, and if it's working, to continue to do that because, Alabama's rush defense is not all that good, and you can really control the line of scrimmage and the time of possession in this game, and your best defense may be your offense, which is crazy to say for Auburn, but that's definitely in the game plan for the Tigers on Saturday.
All right, so I got 2 more questions for you. I'm not going to ask you to necessarily make a prediction, but just say we come out of Saturday and Auburn has won the game. They've upset Alabama. Toomer's corner. I just can't imagine what Auburn's going to be like if that upset does happen on Saturday night. But if they do come out with a win, what do you think is the one thing that happened that led to that?
Auburn forces turnovers on defense. Auburn forces turnovers. Believe it or not, the Tigers have been pretty good by not committing a bunch of turnovers on offense, but you're going to have to steal a possession or 2 against Alabama, get after Ty Simpson, whether it's a strip sack or a pick or something like that. You have to force 1, if not 2 turnovers, and then score on those turnovers if Auburn wants to win on Saturday.
All right, so next, that happens. Auburn wins. Now Auburn, of course, is in need for a new head football coach. Obviously, the hot name, it seems everywhere, everybody's pointing to John Summerall. But DJ Durkin's name is out there too. Do you believe if Auburn beats Alabama that would leapfrog DJ Durkin into the top spot, or do you think it would still probably be somebody else for the Auburn people looking for, John Cohen and everybody else looking for the next football coach?
I think it would obviously make it very difficult to not pick DJ Durkin because he would gain a ton more of the fan support, and you just beat Alabama, which is something you haven't done in several years. And the previous two guys couldn't do it, right? I mean, you're talking about doing something that hasn't been done in a while. It would make it difficult, and I think would put him in the running to legitimately get the job. My prediction is that he still would not get it. I still think it's coming from the outside, but I think DJ Durkin's going to be on the staff one way or the other because it's idiotic for him not to be. I don't care who the next guy is. If it's not DJ Durkin, you have to keep that guy on your staff. He's the best in the country. I believe that. But to answer your question, no, I don't think he would get the job, even if he beats Alabama.
Yeah, but the last guy they hired him because he beat Nick Smith twice. So that's
pretty much.
That's the thing. So it will be interesting. You keep DJ Durkin around, I think you have a great chance of keeping a lot of your roster together. Yeah, that's another part of it.
Especially on the defense. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoever comes in next, whoever's next head coach, I think offensively you need to keep Cobb, Coleman, and Deuce Knight. That is I think honestly for the next coach, and then I'll let you go on this, is not necessarily high school recruiting. I know we started talking high school football, is roster retention. You got to keep it, because this is a roster. I think you add a few pieces here and there. I think next year, I mean this seriously, legitimately can win 9 or 10 games and be in the discussion for the playoff.
Yeah, that schedule's brutal next year, though. That's the only problem. That schedule is so difficult. Yeah. I mean, some seriously tough road trips. But, yeah, I mean, if you can keep most of the guys on this team, obviously the ones that graduate, they'll leave. But you retain the guys who have eligibility. You bring in some talent through the high school ranks in the portal. I mean, you have a chance to be competitive next year. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how Saturday goes. Well, Jacob, I appreciate you coming on, talking the Auburn side of the Iron Bowl. If the listeners and viewers want to check it out, where can I find you?
Yeah, you can tune in if you're in the Auburn area, Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 on ESPN 106.7. You can always tune in on our website at ESPNAU.com. We're on the air. This week's a little bit different. We are on the air Friday before the Iron Bowl, so be sure you tune in and check us out. And we're having a ton of fun, and then we're flipping into full college basketball mode as well.
Absolutely. When everybody has heard this, Auburn would have played 2 games there in Vegas. So anyways, everybody go check Jacob out. And I appreciate the time, Jacob, and I look forward when we get to do this again.
Yep. Always appreciate the time.